One of the first things I do when I get a new client is I just look at how they stand and how they move through the world. By looking at someone's choices of movement, you can tell a lot about their strengths and weaknesses, or where they might have tissue restrictions and all that fancy stuff. One of the most basic things is how someone stands. Going through this example, I don't have perfect posture, and most people don't. That's not really the point of this, but it's to find major weaknesses in your posture, which can also reveal major weaknesses in how you're training people or how you're training yourself. Often, when you have bigger, more muscular people standing straight, you'll notice my hands and my arms are relatively in line with the size of my body. It's not unusual to see people stand like this. And sometimes people do that on purpose because they think they look big, but they really just look stupid. This is a very bad sign posture-wise. And even people who aren't big, who spend a lot of time at a computer hunched over, that can happen as well. This is because these muscles are pulling the shoulder this way, which is often the case with people who bench a lot, and the muscles of the upper back are too weak to pull the shoulders back. This is not your lats, which is this very large muscle here, but there's many smaller muscles in the upper back that also contribute to pulling the shoulders back. This also stresses the rotator cuff among other muscles, which, as you probably hear many times, in later life, many people have rotator cuff trouble. So from the side, I should be standing like this, something like this, and instead you'll often see this, or even this. This is something to be aware of, but also something you can correct with proper training. If this is an issue and you train very heavy and very hard, or you're a bodybuilder or something, it's important for every time you push, try pulling. And this isn't just pulling for your lats with your elbow in. Try doing some rows with your elbow out. This shifts the stress up to some of the muscles in your upper back. So if you bench press, then immediately maybe an inverted row or a bent over row with your elbows out, something like that. It might take some time to correct this issue, and you might even have to double your pulling volume for your pushing volume. But it's very important to make this even. What we're fighting for, whether you're an athlete or a bodybuilder, is some kind of balance in the body. This doesn't mean your body has to be in perfect balance for every sport, because of course, in some sports, some muscles are going to be stronger than others, and they should be for the function of that sport. But for everyday life and for the purpose of aesthetics, you want to try to have a relatively balanced physique. So even if you're doing smaller things, if you're not someone who trains very often or very hard, simply getting a band and doing band pull-aparts or something like face pulls with a rope, that can help your upper back development. It's important to do them correctly. Keep in mind about, for something like a face pull, that the scapula is being pulled in and down while the elbow is staying up. That's very difficult to do. And when you try it, you'll see that there's a lot of complicated issues going on in your back. It's a lot easier to train what we see, which is the front, than muscles in the back. This is why people have this problem. You don't see many people stand like this. Most people are standing like this. And in the age of phones, computers, we're in this position a lot. This is why, one of the reasons why someone rubbing your neck or rubbing your traps can feel very good. These muscles are always tired because they're exhausted from being stretched forward all the time. So stay conscious of it. Try to keep your shoulders back and adjust your training. Many times it's training or even stretching. If you don't stretch your chest enough, it's just going to get tighter and tighter and start pulling your hands around. These little things can make a very big difference in the longevity of your training career. Those of you that have shoulder trouble for bench presses, it might not have anything to do with the presses, but rather have to do with how weak you are pulling. So these are things to think about, and if you're a trainer, definitely think about it with your clients. You too, as a trainer, will have a tendency to train people with the things they can see and the thing that you're familiar on with yourself, which is usually the front of the body. But think about the back. There's a lot of muscle back there that's very important, that is often forgotten. We can name 100 chest exercises, but usually if someone names 20 back exercises, they run out of things to talk about. So become familiar with that area, review your own form, review your own posture. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just shouldn't be bad.